Welcome back to my channel. My name's Lisa Jane, and if you are new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video, and if you are returning, as always, thank you so much for watching my videos. Today's video is my Q1 wrap up. So this is talking about the books that I read between January and March. Now, I know we are now, as this goes up, I think the middle of May. However, I did put a post out on my community tab, and a lot of you said you would still like me to do one of these. So I've carved some time out to get this one up for you. Again, I think I said it in my last video, I haven't got any physical books with me right now because I am short on time. I am working all week in work, and then I'm literally coming home and sitting at my desk because I'm literally in my last few weeks of uni. So please bear with me, because once uni is finished, I'm going to have so much more time to create videos and read books. So there will be more content coming. I've just got to get through these next couple of weeks. But with all that being said, I just want to get straight on into the video. I will say I may talk about some of these books, however, I'm not going to go into lots of detail because, one, you can always look up the synopsis, or you'll find it on my channel or other people's. And two, I just don't want it to be majorly long. So I think it's 15 questions to go through. I can't actually remember where I got these list of questions from. However, just know that I didn't create them myself, and they have come from somebody else. Right, so, and please excuse my voice. I've been up a couple of hours, but it just seems to be quite croaky this morning. So we'll see how we get on. So, question 1 was, what books have I DNF'd? Firstly, I will just say I read 15 books between the month of January and March, which is on target for my yearly goal. I usually say about 60. I don't want to push it any more than that, so that equates to 5 books a month, which 15 is 5 January, 5 February and 5 March. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. So we've got like 15 books we're going to be talking about really in this vlog. And yeah, but none of them, going back to the first question, have been DNF so far. So we've had a good start to the year, and I'm hoping we're going to continue. But I do think it is really important for us to DNF books if we are not enjoying them. For example, I have got many books on my shelves to be read, and I don't want to be, wasting time is probably an awful word to say, but I don't want to be spending too much time on books I'm not enjoying. I need to just put it down and maybe go back to it if I think I might like it at a later point, or just give it to somebody else who will enjoy it more than I would. So yeah, no DNFs, which is a great start. The second question was my 5-star reads this year. I've only had 2 5-star reads in that time period, and that was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. V.E. Schwab, I read Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, and this book was my first book by V.E. Schwab, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And people said, if you like that book, you probably would like The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I absolutely adored that one as well. It is very much character driven. You are following Addie, and it's very much focused around her, and yeah, there's not a whole lot going on. There is some story to it, obviously, but it just depends what you really like. But I thoroughly enjoyed it and gave it 5 stars. And then my second book that I gave 5 stars was actually Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. Now, I've said this before, I have watched all the Hunger Games films, but I've never read the books. So I'm now going back and reading the books, and yeah, they are just incredible. The films are amazing. I thought they were really well done. However, you still get more snippets of detail in the books as always, so 100% 5 stars. But yeah, sadly for me, I've only had 2 in the months January to March, so hopefully going forward I'm going to have some more. We then move on to question number 3, which was my favourite book so far in January to March. And I'll be honest with you, I could say my 5-star books. However, I did also love Powerless and Reckless by Elsie Silver. This is part of the Chestnut Spring series, and these books are obviously finished and the series is completed, and I've managed to complete that series this year. I also really enjoyed The Unmaking of June Farrow. Metal Slinger I've put on here as a mention. I did enjoy it, but probably not as much as other people have, but I'd still say it's worth a mention. And yeah, the ending is wild. It was not something I expected in the slightest. I really, really, really loved In the Veins of Drowning by Kaylee Cassidy. This was a book I picked up because I'd heard Laura Reeds talking about it and how she really loved it. However, Laura, I think, likes lots of dark gothic fantasies, and it's not something I've ever delved into and didn't know whether I'd like. However, this book was absolutely amazing, so it has made me wonder whether I need to read a few more dark or gothic fantasy settings. And then the last one I've put on here that has to have a mention is A Stage Set for Villains. I read this as part of my book club. I think it was back in March with Jamie and Freya, and yeah, I think I gave it 4.25 stars or 4 stars, and it's in this fantasy world, Theatron I think it's called. I can't remember because I haven't got the book with me. And yeah, this theatre pops up every so many years, and it's set in a theatre, and it was just amazing, and it was really, really unique and different from what I've read before. So if you're looking for something a bit different, I would definitely recommend this one. I just want to say, before we go any further, I did have one book that was very, very close to a 5-star read, and that was Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. This book is one of my all-time new favourites, and yeah, I can't wait to continue with this series, and I thought it really did need a mention. And I don't think I feel this gets enough hype somehow. It's just, yeah, it was everything. I just loved it. I can't say any more than that. I just really, really loved it. We then move on to question number 4, and that was my least favourite book. Obviously, I've only read 15 books, but I would say my least favourite was one of the short stories I read on my Kindle, and that was When We Were Friends. And this is by Jane Green, and I gave this one 3.5 stars, so it's not a bad rating. It was just that it was my lowest of the books that I've read, and it was good for what it was, but it wasn't one of my favourites, and that's why I've put it in this category. Jane Green was one of my favourite authors many moons ago, and to be fair, I haven't read many of her books ever since, so it may be something I'll look into. I don't even know if she's still writing books. I'm sure she will be. But yeah, if you know that, please let me know, because I would love to delve back into her work again. Then we move on to question number 5, and it was my favourite mystery thriller. Well, I didn't read many in these months, but if I had to choose one, it would have been The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell. Again, Lisa Jewell is one of my pastime favourite authors. I loved her when I was younger, and I've read a couple of her books since I've been in my 40s and really, really enjoyed them. This book just had me hooked, and yeah, I really, really recommend The Night She Disappeared. It wasn't what I expected in some places. However, yeah, if you are looking for a book with twists and turns, this is the book for you. We then move on to question number 6. and that is my favourite romance book. Favourite romance would have to be Reckless by Elsie Silver, part of the Chestnut Springs series, and this book featured Theo Silver and Winter Hamilton. Now these two, I just really enjoyed their chemistry, and yeah, I would probably say this was one of my favourite books of the Chestnut Springs series. So if you haven't read that one yet, you are in for a good time, I would say. I also really loved, which came very close, and I just don't know whether I need to bump this one up a bit, and it was In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. This is part of the Love Light Farm series, and I think I said it in my last video. I just have really enjoyed that setting, the Love Light world. So yeah, I can't wait to read the rest of her books. I have read them out of order, and that is not like me. I am usually one of these people who love to read, you know, book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, but I sort of missed the Christmas book. So I just thought, I can't wait another whole year. I need to get this one started. So yeah, but I can't wait to read Mixed Signals, which is the summer book in that series. We then have my favourite fantasy between January and March, and it has to be, without a shadow of a doubt, Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. I just can't rate this book enough. It's about Princess Elowin and her dragons, and she gets separated from them at birth. Her father's really cruel to her, and then she manages to escape, and she ends up meeting this sort of enemy, if you like, but then they grow close to work together to defeat her father. So it's a brilliant book. She's going to save her dragons, and that's all I want to say on it, but I really enjoyed it. We then have my biggest surprise. So again, and I feel like I'm going to mention the same books because I did only read 15, but my biggest surprise was In the Veins of the Drowning by Kaylee Cassidy. This follows a siren, and yeah, it was just something I didn't think I would enjoy, with it being a darker fantasy, but like I said before, it was something I really did enjoy, and I can't wait for, I think it's In the Wake of the Ruined, or In the Wake of the Ruin, and that comes out in 2027, I think. So yeah, I can't wait for that one. The next question is the book I consider the most underrated. And like I say, I don't think many of the books I read are that underrated, because I think a lot of the books I read are very popular, and that's why I am reading them. However, again, Fear the Flames is definitely one. Whether it's because it had its time and I've come to it late, which could be a possibility, but I don't see this book talked about enough. I think Rachel the Raven-Haired Reader loves this series as well, and yeah, it just needs a lot more hype than it gets. Question number 10 is a book worth the hype. Now, I would say definitely A Stage Set for Villains, because like I said before, it's a different type of fantasy setting. It's set in a theatre, and it just feels refreshing from anything else I've read so far. Question number 11, the longest book I've read. So the longest book I read between the months of January and March was the first book in the Mistborn trilogy, and that was The Final Empire. And even though this book was the longest, I have read longer books than that, and also I know the next 2 books in the Mistborn series are actually longer than the first one. So I have so many long books on my book cart. I think I have more longer books than I do shorter. So sometimes I think that is why I only read 5 books as well, because a lot of mine are chunkier books. So it all works out in the end, and like I say, it's not about the amount of books you read, it's more about the quality and just enjoying them as you're reading them, not racing through them. That is something that we really all, you know, should do, because it's not fun if you're just rushing through. Question number 12 is the shortest book I have read. So the shortest book was When We Were Friends. That was the shortest story, and that came in at literally 44 pages. So hence the reason why it got the lowest star rating, because it just was a short story. I can't even remember what this one was about, to be honest. It is on, I don't know if it's on Kindle or it's on Prime Reading, but if you have got either of them, go and check it out, because it is worth, just if you've got like a spare half an hour on your lunch break and you want to read a quick story, that is a brilliant one to read. I think that's when I did mine. I might have done it over a couple of lunch times, but yeah, really quick and easy to get through. Number 13 was a new favourite author to me, and again, I really liked Feed the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. I feel like this is going to be very repetitive, so I would like to know, and please let me know if you know, that was a lot of you knows and let me knows, if she has done any other books. I am going to have a little research of this, I haven't had chance yet to do it, just to see, is this her first series or has she done previous works? So yeah, let me know if you know. And then 14 was the new releases I haven't read yet. So for this one, I've put down, I bought And Now Back to You in February 26. And that is book 2 in the Heartstrings series. So the book number 1 was First Time Caller. And yeah, I just haven't got round to And Now Back to You yet. But I think this is set in a wind, like they get caught up in a snowstorm. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they get caught up in a snowstorm. So I feel like I want to leave that till later on in the year now. I feel like I don't want to read that in the summer. It is on my book cart, but yeah, I think I'm going to try and leave that to the summer if I can. Then the other one I have on my list is Darling Daffodil's Farm, and I bought this in March, and this is just a springtime small town romance. I think it is spicy, so you know, if that's not something you like, I believe this book is very spicy. But I bought this in March, and yeah, it's book 1 in the Hope Harbour series, I think it's called. But I'm yet to see whether I'm going to enjoy it or not. We then come to the last question of the Q1 wrap-up, and that is my most anticipated reads for the summer. And I have a few on here, and this is just like a short group of books that I'm looking forward to. However, you know, I have got, like I say, a lot of books on my TBR, and I'm looking forward to a lot of them. The first one being The Thorn Queen by Sasha Payton Smith. This is book 2 and the final book in the Rose Bargain duology. The Rose Bargain was a book I read last year. It's a YA fantasy, and it's very Bridgerton vibes. It has some trials in there, but I loved the group of girls that take part in the trials. It's really worth reading it if it's something you think you might enjoy with them type of vibes, because they are in competition with each other for the prince's hand in marriage. And I don't want to say any more than that. Go and read it. It's great. You have different POVs of the girls. And yeah, I had such a good time with it, and can't wait to see what happens in book 2, because book 1 left off on a bit of a, you know, what the hell has just happened. So yeah, go and read that one. Another one I'm looking forward to is Rights of the Starling. This is book 2 in the Shield of Sparrows series. I think I've put The Thorn Queen and The Rights of the Starling on my summer TBR, if I remember rightly, as well. So hopefully I'll get round to these. Right, The Shield of Sparrows I really enjoyed. It follows a female protagonist, and she is travelling around this world. I don't want to go into too much more than that, and I do need to look up a summary of the first book before I jump into the second. But I remember really enjoying it, and yeah, I'm looking forward to book number 2. Another book I'm looking forward to is The Correspondent, and I can't think who's wrote this book. I think it's Virginia Evans, so please accept my apologies if this is wrong, because this is all off the top of my head. I'll pop the book here. And yeah, I have seen a lot of wonderful reviews about this book and how it ends in the last few pages, and it's something I really, really want to read. I didn't know whether I wanted to spend a lot on it. However, my husband, he is so lovely and just always looks out for things that he thinks I will like, and he knows I've been after this book but just didn't want to spend a lot of money on it. And he actually found it on Vinted in like brand new, in a very good condition, and he purchased it for me a couple of weeks ago now, so hopefully that will be here anytime soon. Another one I'm looking forward to is The Names. Again, I think I've spoke about this in a previous video, and this follows a lady who has a baby. This child is given 3 different names, and it's what would happen in them lifetimes if that name was chosen. I hope that makes sense, because it's really difficult for me to word that one, but I read the back of it in my summer TBR video, I think, so if you want to go and check it out, I do read the back of the book in that one to give you a bit more of a synopsis. And then another one I'd really like to get to is Broken Country by, I think it's Claire Leslie Hall. This one I've seen a lot of hype around as well, and yeah, I just want to get into some more like historical fictions, literary fictions. Honest to God, I can't get my words out. And yeah, just mixing it up a bit, the genres, so that I don't get too locked into one that I become really fed up with it. I think it's really good to mix it up, and I found mixing between the epic fantasy, romantasy, romance, thriller, that's been a really good mix for me. So adding in historical fiction and literary fiction, that will give me a really good mix to explore. That's what I want to say. But yeah, I haven't got any more questions. That was the last one. I hope you enjoyed this video. I am sorry when I stutter and stumble around. I have mentioned this in previous videos that, and this is not an excuse, well, I say it's not an excuse, but it is partly, I think, for the way I am. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I suffered from blood clots on the brain in 2019, and yeah, I'm lucky to be here basically. And I think I suffer with headaches constantly, and my words sometimes I feel like they still come out quite stumbled, so please if you can bear with that, I really appreciate you, because it's not easy sometimes and my words do get mixed up, and I don't think that's ever going to change, because yeah, I think medical conditions, it's just the way I am. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please stick around, please subscribe if you haven't, because like I say, once uni is over, I am refreshing a book area within the house, so I'm going to have a new area to film in, fingers crossed, come the summer. And yeah, I just want to do more reading vlogs, reading challenges, and just really get stuck into some good books. I'm also hoping that my Q2 wrap up, I might have a few more books on it, depending, because I'm trying to think when Q2 will run from. So it'll be April, May and June. So June I might get to read some more books, because I'm hoping by the end of May uni will be completely finished. But we will see. I'm not going to put that pressure on myself. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care everyone. Bye bye.